Ranjit, and I have the distinct pleasure of introducing you or reintroducing you to Victor Chen, University of Ottawa, MA in Economics, PhD from the Beatty School of Business at Simon Fraser University. And he's now a tenured associate professor in international management at the Belk College of Business at UNCC. But I know he's also coming here as CEO of GoPeaks, and he's going to talk to you about that as well. And that's his global open labs for performance enhancement analytics and knowledge system. That's the GoPeaks. And it's really an open collaboration platform that accelerates and scales the accumulation of knowledge from fragmented sources to try and make it actionable wisdom, as he says. I've known Victor for a number of years. He's got very strong quant skills. And while he is an academic, he has very good practical knowledge. And he's using that in ways to help a society in numerous different aspects. I have seen him very active. He's a very active networker, which is not a bad thing, it's a very good thing. But I've seen him able to move smoothly between academicians, politicians, and business people, all in aid of trying to solve or analyze problems and ultimately find solutions for them. And I've seen him working on projects for large multinationals in the area of international business management as well, and also works with small businesses. So very, very much someone who can move among a lot of different spheres. I had the pleasure of introducing him to and making him a Rotary Club member at Dilworth almost 5 years ago. And while he's moved to a different club, he's still very much a Rotarian. And I don't know if you all know, but my ultimate CEO of Deloitte, who actually happens to be a boarding school mate of Ranjit's, what a small world, Punit Ranjan. He's also a Rotarian, and in fact, he had a Rotarian scholarship to come to the United States, and that's how he ended up in the US, and now he's CEO of the world's largest professional services firm, Deloitte. So anyway, with that as an introduction, I really wanted to welcome Victor back to Dilworth and would love to hear your story. As a caveat, I do need to run back into my meeting, but I do know Victor really well, so I know you'll enjoy his presentation. And a note to all of you, I do expect to come back many more times to Dilworth as I sort of continue on in my journey. So welcome, Victor. Thanks, Ranjit.
Thank you, Rohan, so much. Thank you. And thank you, Ranjit, for the invitation back to the club. So is it really 5 years, Rohan? Because I thought it's like 2 years ago. Time flies so fast. And it's really good to be back. Am I supposed to share my screen?
Sure.
Okay.
We can see a screen now, Victor.
Great. All right. So as I said, I joined Dilworth Rotary Club through my sponsor Rohan 5 years ago. It feels like yesterday, and I'm still Rotarian, and I'm still active in the community, promoting my ideal of using business solutions to enrich people and society. And that's the underlying idea of many things I do. And I really appreciate Ranjit inviting me back to the club to talk to you about some of my ideas and works. As Rohan mentioned, I'm a faculty in business, as well as data science and organizational science at UNC Charlotte. And at the same time, since 2018, I have been the founder and the principal researcher for my own research lab called Global Open Labs for Performance Enhancement Analytics and Knowledge Assistance, in short, GoPeaks. So the reason to call it GoPeaks is I want to have this plural ideal to define success or performance for business or any organizations. So it's not just you want to focus on one dimension of success, say money or financial market or market performance, but I want organizations to focus on multiple facets of success by embracing all sorts of people and stakeholders involved in the organization's network. I would not call myself a CEO because this is not a company. This is a research lab. And as it stands now, it's a semi spin-off from the university. It's an industry-university collaboration. So I got funding from external sources, private gifts, but also I'm engaging graduate students at the university to do a lot of the research. So I want to talk to you about what I have been researching on. And the overall idea is I like everyone to imagine a future where we have a shared collective intelligence system, a collective thinking a tool for everyone to understand and predict what everyone's action would be on different people and the entire society. So that's the end goal. So because sometimes everyone is so narrowly focused and companies are so narrowly focused, and we don't really always anticipate what our consequences will be, what our actions consequences will be onto different people in society. To give you some background, I want everyone to review what we have gone through in the last 12 months. I'm going to show some numbers. I want everyone to guess what those numbers represent. So first is this number, 2.6 million. So what does this represent? Anyone? Over the last 12 months.
The deaths around the world?
The death due to COVID
around the world.
Yeah. Including more than 500,000 in the United States. The second is 225 million. What does this number represent?
The total deaths in the world?
The total deaths in the world is 2.6 million.
Oh, no, that's COVID. 2.6 is, no, 225 million, the total. The people who have access to smartphones? No, that's too little.
How about the number of cases?
I don't believe we have so many cases. No, it's not that.
Job losses?
Job losses, exactly. We have lost 225 million jobs worldwide in the last 12 months, according to International Labor Organization. And 20.2 million jobs were lost over the last 12 months in the United States alone. More than half of the jobs were lost permanently, because during COVID, people figured out they could streamline the workforce by going online, by digitalizing a lot of processes, and a lot of the jobs were no longer relevant. The next number, 76.69 billion. What does this represent?
Lost wages?
Close.
Doesn't seem like enough.
Close.
Would it be lost GDP?
That's the loss of GDP. That's the decline of worldwide GDP. And it's estimated. So this is the estimation of the best scenario of the GDP loss over the last 12 months. So we could be losing more. And as a consequence of the GDP loss, there's another number. It's not a total death in the US, although the numbers is quite similar. 529,000. What does this number represent?
Job loss in the US?
We have job loss is way more. It's 22. It's
22 million.
22.2 million in the US.
Kids out of school.
Should be more than that. That's a good guess. So this is the number of filings for business bankruptcies of the last 12 months, despite despite all the government stimulus packages. It's actually better than the year before, but it's still quite significant despite all the stimulus packages. So 500,000 companies have been closed for good of the last 12 months. Let me show you some other numbers in a different color. 541 billion. What does this number represent? It's the largest number on this sheet, on this slide.
Increase in billionaires' wealth.
Very close, very close, very close. This is the increase of the top 15 billionaires' wealth. The total would be way more than this. This is only the top 15 in the US. I'm not including other countries. This is top 15 billionaires, American billionaires' wealth increase over the last 12 months. Actually, less than 12 months, 11 months, because I don't have the new data for March yet. So 551 billion wealth increase. And those are the increase rates for the top top 7 billionaires in the US. And it's all because of we had a great year for the stock market. We had a great year for the financial market, except the first month, except the first 20 days of the pandemic, between mid-February to early March. And after that, it went so well in the financial market. And now it's even higher than before the pandemic. You see the divorce between the financial system, the top business system, big business system, and the rest of the world, the society and the people. So the current business system clearly is not working well for people and society. And the reason for initially, I thought that's because the top wealthy billionaires or the CEOs of corporations do not care about people or society. That's not true. They do care. But when you are in a rapid working space and the pressure, you always have to make decisions very quickly. And you always have to prioritize things that you can measure, and you have tools to help you analyze and predict. But they don't have good tools to have broader predictions on how their decisions may affect different people and stakeholders at scale. The only tools they have are financial analysis, accounting, reporting, books, business intelligence platforms that collectively work so well to maximize their financial goals. At the same time, there are not many good tools to help them predict and optimize the consequences of decisions on different people and stakeholders. And that is the underlying philosophy, underlying driver of most of my research for the Go Peaks initiative. So it's the reason that we don't have people doing research for those different people concerns. It's not true, it's the opposite. There is a vast ocean of research, but the problem is it's so fragmented. It's buried in tens of thousands of technical papers, books, publications, libraries, and it becomes almost impossible to timely accumulating them into solutions that organizations and business can use. I'll give you one example. Now, suppose you want to understand what would be the causes and effects relationships for those well-being concerns during pandemic. Now, you could go to Google Scholar. It's open source knowledge platform to look for research documents. You type in the keywords, say you want to understand financial resilience, employee well-being, customer well-being, corporate social performance, environmental performance all together. What you get is millions of separate, fragmented research documents, technical research publications, books, and so on. probably some patents, and no one can possibly timely draw insights into a tool or some guidance for decision makers. Now, a very well-trained PhD may have read 1,000 really good publications, research documents in his or her area within the 4 to 6 years of training, but that's it. But now we have so much. It becomes nobody's job to make sense of what is in it and how to dig them out and put them together into something people can take actions on, right? So it's too much, and too much becomes too little. We have so many ideas and evidence, facts, research insights, but they don't accumulate timely into actionable solutions. So I started asking myself if I could invent something that could timely, without much human effort, to put things together into instant tools for decision making. And the decision making should be driven by multiple dimensions of success for different people, right? So not just the investors in the financial market. That's being taken care of very well right now. Even during pandemic, people are making so much more money. So, but I'm not saying we should diminish that. We should keep that as a strong driver, engine of the economy. That's the hardcore of capitalism. Without that, we won't have enough resources to do anything else. But at the same time, we need the tools to also help us understand the consequences in other areas. Customers, employees, managers at different levels, community, society, environment, climate change, and so on. And all those need to be put together into one toolbox. And without much human effort, without much training, technical training, definitely don't need a PhD to do all those things, to understand what actions you should make, and while anticipating the consequences of actions. So I ask, what if we can automate the reading and the synthesis of research insights into instant tools for decision makers? So starting in 2018, well, by the way, I wasn't trained in computer science, so my technical background is not much better than you, probably worse than many of you. So I had to learn a lot of new things, like machine learning, AI, and I had to engage my colleagues in other disciplines like computer science, software engineering to help me work on this project. So the idea is very simple. I'm not going to show you too much on the technical side, but the idea is we should train the machines to read the structures in natural language of those research documents to detect the key insights like causes and effects. So what would cause what? And people could define what consequences or outcomes they want to focus on, right? It's about job losses, it's about employee compensation, it's about sales or profit. All those outcomes should be quickly be detected by the machine reading models and then put together into a toolbox. So the first part is to detect all the insights from fragmented documents. I put some random examples, like some documents might be talking about the drivers of customer revenue. Some might be talking about human resource management policies. Some might be talking about drivers of profits. And then I want to link them together, break them down into nodes and links, and put them together into a graph. I call this a knowledge graph. And I want them to be integrated with external data, because there might be existing knowledge bases from libraries, from books, from research documents, from industry research, and put them all together. And when people use it in the last step, they can plug in data, their own data. So right now, all the companies have been digitalizing their information. So they have collected a lot of data, big data, on different measures about people, about transactions, about financial performance, and so on. And they plug in their data to quantify, to statistically quantify those causal pathways, those links, in order to identify given their selection of performance or outcome matrix, what would be the most important, statistically the most important causal pathways for them to reach their outcome goals. Now I put the example as profit because relatively we have more data in company to track profit, and it can tell people to go back to the variables that would cause the variations, the variance of the profits, and eventually the market share. And if we can plug this map with their own organizational chart, we could know who is responsible for what causal factors. And then it will tell people to make decisions given their desired outcome. Now, we could do this for all sorts of success metrics, right? Not just profits, not just market share. It could be employee well-being, could be community impact, could be environmental footprint, and so on. So the tool I have built is without any technical background. Although this tool is going to be running on Python on the back end, but on the front end, people just need to upload unlimited volume of PDF documents that might capture the causal insights they want to dig out. And eventually, it would translate into detect all the insights out, translate the documents, the insights from documents into an Excel table, and Excel table will be visualized into something like this. So this is one prototype based on about 5,000 causal insights that machine has detected from social science research on different topics. And it's denoting visually different dimensions of performance outcomes, as well as different levels of causes based on the evidence from repeatable research in libraries. And the whole process now would take only 2 minutes. So 2 minutes, it could detect 5,000 relationships and visualize them into one tool that people can just use one finger to interact with. Just drag and drop to know what would be the causal pathways behind the outcomes in different dimensions, multiple dimensions of success they want to optimize. And previously, this would take 5 to 6 years. We are in the process of, so with several grad students and PhDs in org science and the computer science, data science, we are experimenting with translating this prototype into companies' internal documents, because companies might have meeting scripts, they might have meeting summaries. And as I am speaking now, I don't know if you see the same screen. Zoom is taking scripts, it's taking notes of my talking. So if I'm talking in very scientific logic languages, like A would cause B, it will be recorded into this meeting record. So all those new technologies are digitalizing a lot of information about causal insights at real time into a data lake or data platform. And the tool could be used to dig into those data lakes and put fragmented things together into a visual graph to show people the causal pathways on the variables they're concerned about. So that's not enough. So what I eventually want to do is to expand this machine reading tool to a fully fledged, comprehensive machine assistant for organizations to make better and more responsible decisions. Because now they can foresee the full scope of their consequences whenever they make a decision, and with enough data, they can quantify the reliability of their predictions. And I want people to know, to have a crystal ball, and to know the near future on different people by the decision making, by the proposed decision making, and in order to optimize what is the best for themselves, at the same time optimize the well-being for different people they're going to influence. So Eventually, I would like to expand the machine reading tool into a shared brain system. So what is a shared brain system? It is a knowledge management system that detects and integrates causal insights from fragmented local knowledge systems, not just the publications. Could be any systems, could be the Zoom meeting notes, could be internal company documents, could be news, social media, anything that is reliable, that has passed the level of rigor to use for research analysis. Could be domain experts conversations into and sort of centralize them into one collective map of knowledge. I want to pause here for a while because I see Quanta is raising the hand. So Quanta, feel free to interrupt me if you have any questions. I know we have 30 minutes, but don't wait until the end to raise any questions.
Sure.
Oh, no, I just raised so because I think this is really a Nobel Prize winning concept. I mean it. Oh my God, I am so amazed. Please continue. I just raised my hand so I can speak later.
Victor, I did have one question while you're in this. How would, try and help me understand, say, we have all this Rotary information of projects around the world and Rotary people working and what they're doing to increase their membership, what they're doing to raise money, fund. Can that become a shared brain for all of us?
Definitely.
I mean,
so my definition of shared brain is anything that is causal, right? So you can, causal means you can take actions to know the consequence.
Right.
But we do not have to restrict to causal knowledge. Could be anything, could be relationships, right? So if we have anything that is in documentation, that is in natural language, that the humans can, as long as humans without technical background can read, machines can read. So, and if we can define what would be the most important information in those Rotary documents, is it about people relationships or it's about money flow? So as long as we can define that, we can train machines to detect such information and put them together into a graph, into a network of graph. Now, back to Quanta's comment. Unfortunately, this is not for Nobel winning because this is considered applied research. Unfortunately, or fortunately. And most of my colleagues won't give a shit to this because this is translating cutting edge knowledge, so some people can use it. But that happens to be my passion. And but unfortunately, it's not going to get the highest credit in academia because it's not a cutting edge research by itself. It's translating research so people can access it.
What about medicine? Could this also apply to medicine in some way?
Definitely.
So you have domain experts in medicine and that information flows to people who are less knowledgeable?
Very good question. So my closest colleague on this project, who is a computational linguist at University of Arizona, he is part of the DARPA project on translating cancer research into automatic clinical trials. So you don't have to have a real person to try some cancer treatment. You can put all the known causal models from medical research into like a digital person, and then put into an experiment, simulate any experimentations or treatment to know what would become the outcome. So in medicine, it's probably way ahead of business research. They have been doing this, and my closest colleague on this is already doing that in medicine. And I see another hand is raised. I don't see the name. I'm sorry. I see.
Romy.
I think Reggie, your wife is raising your hand.
Yes. Hi, Victor. My question regards how your system would vet research for quality. There's a lot of bad research out there. There's research that comes to conclusions that the structure of the study does not actually support. People conclude wrong things. There's always elements of subjectivity in many fields, even the fields that don't think that there's an element of subjectivity, who like to pride themselves on completely being objective. So there's such a wide variety in terms of quality of research. How does your system vet?
There's a great question. So So I don't want this system to become like Facebook or Google, where there's no quality censorship. So I do. So it's not we can't give full autonomy to machines to decide what is going to be included or not, right? That's not going to happen. So this is going to be a human technology collaboration, and it's the domain expert's job to select what outlets, what sources they want to use to draw knowledge. So in my prototype, for example, we only included the top 20 peer-reviewed scientific publications, scientific journals, where the research is not based only on opinions. Like I'm a top thinker in the world, and it's my opinion that something happened, but based on repeatable, replicable, empirical tests. So they should have a large sample of data to test their opinions or hypotheses, and we put the empirically tested causal insights together from the short list of outlets that are selected by domain experts.
So I have two more questions with that. Even with research that is, can be shown to be beyond associational and can be shown to be causal and replicable and so forth, there's disagreement at times.
Yep.
And so that's question one. How do you decide, how to vet at that level, I would say. Yep. And then my second question would be, there's some areas in which the quality of research does depend on opinion or creativity in a way. Mm-hmm. So there's places where opinion and subjectivity, I think, is the bad guy. And then there's places where it's actually the only guy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How do you account for, and I come from the field of psychology. So yeah. How would you account for that? So two questions.
Great question. That's a great question. Thank you so much, Romy. So I have to go back to this chart, which I probably went too quickly over. So if you look at the final two panels, right? There's a synthesis, which has a lot of links and nodes right here, and the final one, which is a short subgraph of the overall graph. So to me, as long as the opinions in your language or hypotheses come from the reliable sources of outlets, I would include them all here. And sometimes they might be conflicting, right? So there could be one link that shows positive, two links showing negative. But we want to over-include those as the total holistic picture, because the real truth comes from the user's own data. So they have to statistically quantify those links to see whether the positive or the negative is more relevant given their own data. And there are many techniques nowadays can do this using machine learning, such as causal model of machine learning, structural equation modeling. So it is using their own data to statistically quantify the truth or the evidence, retest evidence for the hypotheses that have been put together into the holistic map. So the holistic map only shows the qualitative collective union of all the opinions coming together, but it doesn't guide the research, guide actions by itself. Everything has to be regrounded in the user's own data. If a hospital uses this, right, healthcare system, they have to put all the data into those nodes. They have to measure those things, and then build a causal chain into machine learning, and to get marginal effects for all those links, and look at whether those links are positive or negative given their own data. So that's one way to control the reliability of the results. Does that answer your question, Romy?
That answers question number one.
What's the question number two, by the way? I'm sorry.
Question number two is about fields in which knowledge is based on, basically, I would say, insight, and it's very difficult. So psychological creativity, insight, we could say opinion, that is the nature of knowledge or its source, and it is not particularly in the form that could be, studied in a way that's replicable, et cetera, in the classic sort of analytical, format. What about that body of knowledge?
So that body of knowledge, as long as that can be expressed in a causal way, it would be part of the synthesis right here. But the difference is there's no way to have a repeatable empirical research to quantify those things. It will be the user's own discretion to decide whether one creativity in one field is replicable in their own situation. So that would be more qualitative. But having said that, there are many qualitative research methods that can give us more reliability than just random guess. There's a qualitative comparative analysis without much data. You just need the 80 cases or case study, right? The easiest into case studies. Just by talking to many patients and make comparisons, make cross-case comparisons to, it won't give you a number right here, but it would give you some level of confidence measure, like whether this is cross-validated or not. So there's some other ways to do this. Or it could be just an opinion right here. So it's users' own discretion whether they want to quantify this or they want to make their own judgment. But it's better than random guess. So I'm not trying to copy, but it's better than people's random guess.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. So yeah, so the overall system, Quanta, are you still raising your hand or?
Yeah, I will when you finish. I wanted to ask a couple of
Okay, so I will be finished very soon. So I just have maybe four more slides. So back to the shared brain idea. So it's a comprehensive knowledge system of to not only read using machines the research documents, but read anything causal insights, including opinions, expert opinions, and so on, or anecdotes. By detecting and integrating fragmented information from local knowledge systems, right? And the systems could include human brains. So it could include one person's personal nodes on their consent of digging and into the unified causal knowledge graph. And then as long as we can measure those variables in the knowledge graph, we could train machine learning or AI to causally test those relationships. And then users, based on the evidence, the findings, can take on responsible interventions, right? So the key word is responsible, because now you know the future. Now you know what consequences you can make. It becomes a legal issue, an ethical issue for you to take actions based on the consequences, the different scenarios. Now, many bad decisions were made not because the decision makers were intentionally making bad decisions, because they could not see the future. But now you have the crystal ball, and for different scenarios, we have a level of confidence that we can quantify. Now it's your responsibility to make the best decision for not only you, but all the people that will be affected by your decisions. So that's the end goal for this. So this is just a simple illustration of what I'm trying to do. So from small local systems into a collective intelligence knowledge system, train the machine to quantify them, and then tell people, or inform people, or guide people what's the best decision for many different scenarios about their consequences. And those will be responsible decisions because they know the future. They know the consequences. And so why I call this shared brain, the whole idea is from a childhood dream I've been thinking about for a long time from the movie. I'm going to show the clip here, which shows the idea of the shared brain. And I want you to guess, because now it's Fun Friday, right? It's Fun Friday for lunch. I wanted to guess which movie this clip is from. It might be tough if you don't have a life, right? So which movie is this from? And what is this called? What is this this whole thing, that this helmet called? Tough question, right?
Yeah.
It's from Marvel, so it's not a new movie. It's actually it's a series of movie that's been in making for many decades. So this is from X-Men, and this person is Professor X, and this whole machine, this helmet, is called Cerebro, which is Spanish for brain. What it does is, so his superpower is to read other people's minds, right? But his own power has a geographic limit. It's only like 100, 200 meters. So he's built this system to connect with every single person's mind, and then to detect what they are thinking. And well, I don't know if he's getting consent or not, but it's probably illegal if it's real. But if it's people's consent to be read from their mind, the ideas and models, and he's putting those together into one system. And by the way, he's finding the best minds out of normal human, which are called mutants, into one school, the school of X-Men. So that's a childhood dream I'm trying to accomplish. It is a collective smart system with people's consent can read any documents, reliable knowledge documents for anywhere, and put into one holistic map. So this is like Facebook, but it's not a shared platform for sentiment. So a lot of the social media, they're so popular because you can share sentiments, share emotions, share your life into a collective system. But this is a social media of sharing wisdom, sharing knowledge, sharing reasoning, rationality, and then everyone can foresee the wide consequences of their actions based on timely detection and timely testing of their ideas. They can run multiple scenarios and quantitatively knowing the consequences of the scenarios in order to pick the best one. So, and as I said, it's GoPeaks initiative is not a company. I want to make a correction. It's not a company. It's now a sort of semi spin-off. It's industry university collaboration focusing on research, and it's not I don't have a stable sponsor yet. So it's based on many ad hoc private gifts, external funding such as National Science Foundation, and some internal funding like the School of Data Science grants. And I'm looking for co-founders with me to make this a named Global Research Center of Excellence. Now, the first letter G stands for global. It's a global open lab. And it's really global because I've been working on this with scholars around the world, not just at the UNC Charlotte, but also South Carolina, Columbia University, where I served for 8 years as a global program coordinator, and Copenhagen in Denmark, Georgia in China, and Simon Fraser in Canada, and many, many more. And as I said, this project involves so many different disciplines and experts together, not just the business or organizational science. So I have built a sort of research cluster on explainable AI for responsible business to take on some of the cutting edge research and then translate all the research into this tool. And I have a very collegial network of researchers at UNCC in different departments, including College of Business, organizational science, data science, computer science, math, and statistics, working with me together on this sort of lofty goal. But I think with the new technologies, it's no longer lofty. So 3 years ago, when I started promoting the idea, it sounded like a lofty goal, but with all the breakthroughs and the prototypes we have developed, it becomes more and more realistic. And so this is an existing research network that is globally competitive at the UNCC. And together we have raised $30 million grants. We have published 500 plus papers with 40,000 plus citations. We have 3 National Science Foundation backed commercialization projects to translate research into commercially usable solutions. We have 3 spin-offs run by our graduates. Together, we have trained 30 PhD students, 15 master students, and we regularly work with major industry and government partners such as U.S. Army, IBM, and Center for Open Science. I want to end my presentation with the motto I put on my website of GoPeaks, and that says everything about what I'm trying to accomplish and what's the philosophy behind. So we live in a fragmented world, but we strive for the whole truth. So we strive for the whole truth in a fragmented world by building a shared brain for people and society.
Wow.
Any more questions?
Interesting. Interesting. Let's do this. We're short on time, so let's go ahead and we're going to wrap up with the invocation and pledge. And Victor, if you could stay on, I'm sure people will have a bunch of questions, which we'll continue on. So, John Barringer, if you want to go ahead, I apologize. I was got caught up in different things and I missed our invocation and pledge. So let's end with that today. Go ahead, John. You have to unmute yourself, John. Okay.
How's that? Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Let us pray. Good morning again, Lord, and thanks again for the good conversation on my back porch earlier this morning. As you know, that has become my thinking place, and how apt with the presentation we have just heard. The thinking place between early March and mid-December, that's where I'm found on any decent early morning at about 6:30 with a hot cup of coffee in my hand. Just you, me, some wonderful cardinals this morning singing to greet the dawn, and yes, a few barking dogs as well. So my prayer today is that all of us, whatever our faith, will be moved by you to find their own thinking place, where they can get away from the normally hectic lives we lead and reflect on who we are and what we are and from where we have come and the direction you would have us move, especially in terms of service. What does that mean in terms of our lives together in our families, as Rotarians in our communities, as citizens of our world? Then, oh Lord, help us to release all that kinetic energy in order to find specific ways to serve your people, all our brothers and sisters, wherever they may be, and teach all of us to tune out the barking dogs of life and to celebrate the singing birds. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. And with that, we are going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting, and Victor will stay on and answer some additional questions. I'm sure there are going to be questions. So thank you all for being here and have a great day. All right.
Thank you, Victor.
Thank you so much.
If you would raise your hand if you have any questions, be free to ask them.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
An observation and not an argumentation at all. I think you're absolutely right on the market. But my one question is, where in the world where does the question of ethic fit into this? From a machination standpoint, I see this with all sorts of wonderful, wonderful, wonderful potential. But in every one of these, someone or something needs to be there to ask or to say, so what? Where do we go now?
Yeah,
that's too much to talk about now.
That's a great question. I think that there's several ethical issues that have to be addressed, not just one. So GoPeaks, the second word is open. Now, usually when something is open, it would raise all sorts of ethical questions, including privacy, right? Like Facebook is some of the problems Facebook is facing or Google is facing might be happening to this open system as well. So I think because we need the data from real world, real time. Usually those data are from very private sources. And second, we need dig into a lot of the research documents to get an expertise. Some of the expertise is very private in people's meetings. So I think one general rule that I would stand for, which currently a lot of the companies like Facebook, Google, Amazon are violating, is we should get consent from the owners of data. So I have my phone, but I should have an option. I can opt out from being connected to the open system. But at the same time, we should communicate very effectively the benefits for people if the data or expertise is local expertise is plugged into a bigger system. Like we're never shy to share our personal information to our doctors because we know we have benefits, and they could use our data combined with other patients' data to come up with better solutions, medicine and clinical treatments. And that's the same thing happened here. So it's science. Science has to be open, so we get repeatable enough data to do research. But at the same time, we should get people's consent. And after we have communicating all the benefits for people. Another ethic question is for the users, right? People can use this for good things or bad things. So that's something that's really hard to control. It's like a weapon. By itself, the technology is so neutral, right? People could use this to hurt people, right? Now I know the consequences for my investors and the consequences for my employees. Now I intentionally want to hurt my employees to benefit investors. They could use it in this way, right? So that's something it's really hard to control. I think training, education, Rotary Club would play a much better role. So it's a community effort to educate the people how to use it, for what to use it. It's about training people to have the right worldviews and philosophies before they have access to this weapon. Because weapon by itself is so neutral. It's about the people how to use it. Great question, John.
Yeah, sure. Other questions? Romy, go ahead, unmute yourself.
So Victor, going back to your introduction with the statistics regarding the pandemic, I'm curious as to how this tool, or how you would envision it having, addressed or perhaps prevented all of the statistics that you presented at the beginning.
Yeah, very good question. So when people use it, not only they need to see the graph of all the causal pathways linking to different consequences, they also need to know the time, like how much time it takes for the causal effect to take place. So one way to use this is if some good drivers would take a long time to have benefits to people, they should start investing in those drivers now. So they would become more resilient when another pandemic or crisis happens. And also, this would help people to make better decisions when they are pressured to make quick decisions, right? So whether to lay off people, so between laying off people, furlough, or cutting salaries to everyone, which one would have the least impact, negative impacts on people and society? Now they have a tool to look at. So given the financial crisis or given previous pandemics, this is what people did, and those are the quantitative evidence of the impact different strategies had made on different people. So now they have evidence, they have a benchmark. It may not be fully repeatable. So all the statistical evidence would have a confidence interval, right? Sometimes it's very wide, but at least they don't have to randomly guess or make their own personal arbitrary judgment.
Okay.
Interesting. Any other questions? Quanta, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. Yes,
yeah, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to kind of synthesize a concept with what you are trying to achieve, because you're talking about how, for instance, 541 billion for 15 billionaires. What has caused that to happen, number one? And then further, what will be the cost to society for that to happen?
Well, the first question is what caused the increase of so much wealth by the top 15 billionaires, right? The answer is stock market. So the stock market went so well last year, and the stock market benefited proportionally better by the stimulus plan than the rest of the country. So there's a deep voice of people of the financial market on the top, which represent financially most liquid businesses, large businesses, and the rest of the country. They have 500,000 companies who went bankrupt at the same time. So that's the answer. This is because the stock market. To answer your second question, what's the impact of this increase of wealth to the top affect the rest of the country? We don't know, because we don't have the tool that I'm building now for people to anticipate and measure and predict the impact. What's the side effects of something that work for one dimension of success matrix on the other success matrix? We don't know, and people seem to avoid measuring those things because if something bad would happen, they have to rebalance. They have to lower the wealth accumulation for some other well-beings, and they don't want to take such a responsibility. But the point I'm making is we should make those tools available, accessible, and we want people to know this, not only the people who are using the tools, but also the public, to know what effects will be for themselves as a community. And then all the decisions would be responsible. They become a legal issue. Now you know the consequences with a statistical measure and a confident interval. Take actions responsibly. But now we don't know.
So can we take the human body as an example of, let's say, 8 billion cells, and the monetary resources as being the blood of the economy? And this blood has to be distributed throughout the body in such a way that we have a healthy body, healthy society, in terms of economically healthy society. At the same time, individuals still having wealth at the level that they have now. Because a lot of people say, oh, that's communism and that's socialism. So I just was trying to understand if those two concepts, the whole world as being one body with 8 billion cells, how will the monetary system will be distributed in such a way that individual wealth creates societal economic health?
That's the whole point of having this Go Peaks system. So we want to make sure that's the whole idea of Go Peaks as a plural word, is we want to optimize, or we want to increase our well-being in multiple dimensions. But I probably would not use human body or biology as an analogy, because the human body, the health for human body is balanced. So we have blood pressure, psychological pressure, everything. Things need to be balanced, and we want to be as normal as possible. If we draw a bell curve to put all people into distribution, we want to be in the center, in the average person. But for business, it's not about being average. It's about being more, being to the front. So my idea is not to choose between socialism, where everybody is equally poor, and capitalism, where some people are super rich. My choice is to maximize in multiple areas. We climb the mountain to multiple tops, and by using the tool. Now, inevitably, we have to make trade-offs sometimes, but now we don't even know what those trade-offs are, because we don't have the tools for multiple dimensions.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Thank you.
Other questions?
So I have to run
Okay.
like very quickly, and
No problem.
I could share my, so Rajin, you could share my slides and an email to people. I'm
I will
more
do
happy
that.
to have
I will
a
do
private
that.
conversation after this meeting. Maybe we can sit
Absolutely.
down in person sometime to talk about it.
And put March 25th on your calendar at 5:30, and
Okay.
please come and join us as our guest at our
Sure.
social.
Okay,
And
great.
you'll be our guest. We'd love to have you and your partner, friend, to come with us, and then people can ask questions over a glass of wine and you know, all that sort of stuff. So we thank you again, Victor, for being here.
Thank you, Victor.
Thank you so much, Regia. Thank you,
yeah,
Rami.
we'll have
Wonderful, all the quick
absolutely.
questions, John.
Have a great day. All right, take care.
Take care. Thank you so much.
All right, see you. Okay, bye-bye.